opening mantras. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravasthamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanaspata Ana Shinvannutibhis Siddhasadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Hamsa Hamsaya Vidmahe Paramahamsaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sirairangai Sushruvagam Sastanobhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Jahaji Pitri ki Jahaji Pitri ki Jahaji Pitri ki. Ravi Ji, founder of the Hindu Prachaar Kendra and director of the Ancestral Agenda, Geeta Vahini Ji, president of the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, Professor and Mrs. Vijay Narayan Singh, Shri Mukesh Babooram Ji, and everyone, all specially invited guests and fellow children of the Pitris. Namaskar, and welcome once again to the Hindu Prachaar Kendra. Tonight is our third of 6 premier events that make up the Ancestral Agenda, which is the Kendra's pioneer project for this auspicious period of Pitri Paksh. And every event, we always say that Raviji has always and continues to declare that Pitri Paksh is the most important time for Hindus. And many may question why. Why not Diwali? Why not Hagwa or any other event? But why Pitri Paksh? So we are taking the opportunity of the Ancestral Agenda and these events to understand and explore why we need to place such an important focus on honoring our ancestors and remembering them. Last night, we were fortunate to have the mind of Dr. Bhoendradat Tiwari present beautifully to us the concepts of Karma Yoga and how the way that we live our lives has such an immense impact on what happens after that life has come to an end. On Sunday, which was our inauguration program, Raviji had expounded beautifully on why this ancestral agenda is so important and why we must make it our duty as Hindus to learn about our ancestors and honor them and remember the contributions that they made. Tonight, we are in for yet another special treat. And tonight we have a real Pichikari fraternity going on, and you'll get to see why very soon. Through the discussion and interpretation of the Sri Ramcharitmanas tonight, Shri Mukesh Babooram Ji will be expounding on the themes surrounding Pitri Paksh, just as Dr. Bhotiwari did last night. Now the question has been raised, why are we looking at the Sri Ramcharitmanas during Pitri Paksh? What is the connection? Well, first of all, this is Ramayan country. Everything we do, eat, sleep, and breathe, is connected to the Manas. That connection is always there through everything that we do. But more specifically, our Pitris, who are first and foremost honored during this time, they would not have been able to make the impact that they were able to make without the influence of the Sri Ramcharitmanas. Trinidad and Hindu Trinidad would not have been shaped the way it was if it wasn't for Baba Tulsidas and this Shastra that he has given to us. So this Shastra has now become the Kula Shastra of our country, written by our Kula Guru Baba Tulsidas. So this is why, as we remember our Pitris, the Jahajis, our ancestors during the sacred period of Pitri Paksh, we also look to the Sri Ramcharitmanas to give us the guidance that it gave to our Jahaji ancestors. For every event of the Ancestral Agenda, we are making it our responsibility to honor the Pitris who came before us and to recognize some particular ones who have made very important contributions, especially to the growth and the success of the Hindu Prachaar Kendra that we must recognize. Tonight, we recognize Shri Rashid Mohammed. He was the founder of a community business right here in our own community. I'm sure we all know of M&M Bakery. He was a master baker, very skilled in his profession. M&M Bakery shares a long relationship with the Hindu Prachaar Kendra as a foundation sponsor of many of our projects. Shri Rashid Mohammed was a real gentleman. His nature was gentle, and he was a most dedicated family man. He was also very community conscious, and together with Urmila Didi, M&M Bakery has supported the community work of not just the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, but many other groups and organizations throughout the country. So tonight, we offer Shraddhanjali and pray Om Sadgati for this Atma of Shri Rashid Mohammed and remember his contributions and sponsorships across the years. I would now like to invite his Dharampatni, Srimati Urmila Didi, who is fondly called Didi, the Behenji of Shri Raviji, to light the diya and offer Shraddhanjali in the name of the late Shri Rashid Mohammed ji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Jahaji Pitri ki? Thank you. So we have been looking at Baba Tulsidas and the Sri Ramcharitmanas. Now Baba Tulsidas was an excellent writer. And following in his footsteps, our own Guru Sri Raviji has been writing for many years. Newspaper articles, speeches, poetry, songs, drama, and so much more. And Raviji, like I said on the first day, his life is encapsulated by the term Jagad Hitaya Cha. For he does everything for the welfare of the world, for the welfare of others. So he did not let the art of writing and creating stay with him alone. He created a Hindu space for others to be able to write and express Hindu thoughts and Hindu concepts that was lacking in our country. And this was done through the forum of Pichakari. So tonight, we have a Pichakari special for you. Shri Jagdev Bhaguji is a very popular composer and Pichakari champion for many years. And last night, we were able to hear one of his compositions entitled Jai Tulsidas that he composed in the year 1997 for the 500th birth anniversary of Baba Tulsidas. Now last night, our Mandali presented it for us, but tonight we are lucky to have Shri Jagdev Bhaguji himself to present his own composition entitled Jai Tulsidas with us. So I'm sure we will all enjoy hearing the original composer sing his song. So now I invite him to the podium to present to us Pichakari for 1997, Jai Tulsidas.
Sitaram. For those who, there is a share in the song, and for those who doesn't understand the Hindi much, I'd like to explain the share. It goes like this. Ramayan sam granta nahi. There is no scripture like the Ramayan. Kojo sab itihas, search in all history. Bhavasagar taran now yahi. This is the boat to cross that worldly ocean. Rako apne paas. So keep it with you. Ramacharitamanus Bimala. The characteristics of Ram is like a pure lake. Rakiye Tulsidas. It was built by Tulsidas. Kashtaharan Kaljugako. It is used to remove difficulties in this sinful age. Yehi Hamare As. The Ramayan is our only hope. Ramayan samgrant nahi, ko jo sab itihas, bhavsagar taran now yahi, rakho apne paas. रामचरित मानस बिमला रचिए तुलसीदास रखिए तुलसीदास कष्ट हरण कलयुग को यही हमारे आस। जय तुलसीदास जी, जय तुलसीदास। रामायण है अमर, जय तुलसीदास। आया यहाँ मेरे पुरखों के पास। Caribbean Hinduism was born from Tulsidas. Tulsidas, 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 Tulsidas. The pains of revolution felt in the motherland when masses sought to worship in their education. Restricted Indian knowledge, survival was the key. Made languages and cultures flourished in peasantry. When religious encroachments impacted on this world, Tulsidas' vision started to unfold. Jai Tulsidas ji, Jai Tulsidas. Ramayan hai amar, Jai Tulsidas. Aaya yahan mere पुरखों के पास. Caribbean Hinduism was born from Tulsidas. Tulsidas, 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 Tulsidas. When religions competed for the illiterate, Tulsidas Ramayan bonded people's faith. Infectious was its teachings of love for humanity. No scholars, kings or pundits could stop spirituality. His story tells of Rama, Sita and Hanuman conquered Rakshas Ravan with might and devotion. Jai Tulsidas ji, Jai Tulsidas. Ramayan hai amar, Jai Tulsidas. Aaya yahan mere पुरखों के पास. Caribbean Hinduism was born from Tulsidas. Tulsidas, 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 Tulsidas. In these times of Kaljug, when temptation steps in, that wisdom and philosophy helps fight it from within. His music, songs and poetry had soothing vibrations, could destroy any evil when used with devotion. Our dharma, art and karma, he explains in Ramayan, the way of life to moksha, our destination. Ram, 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 Ram. The darkness of indentureship, pressures of the past, was fought with aspiration. We drew from Tulsidas, that guiding light shone clearly the path to destiny, reflecting elevations we made in this country, a land of different cultures, races and religions. Our John D. flutters proudly, marking Hinduism. Jai Tulsidas, Jai Tulsidas, Jai Tulsidas, Jai Tulsidas. Thank you.
So one more time, Goswami Tulsidas Baba ki, Jai. Trinidad and Tobago Desh ki, Jai. We have not been able to hear some of these voices for such a long time. We've not had Pichikari for such a long time. So hearing these compositions from these familiar voices really feels very special. And I'm sure you all would have enjoyed that as much as I did. So thank you, Shri Jagdev Paguji, for that presentation. And with that now, we have made this space ready. We have remembered our Kula Guru Baba Tulsidas and the Kula Shastra that he has given to us, the Sri Ram Charitmanas. So now I take great pleasure in presenting to you our feature speaker for tonight, Shri Mukesh Babooram ji. Now I asked Mukesh ji to present me with a short biodata for introducing him with, and he gave me 3 lines. And we all know of his skills in creating and speaking and how much he has done. And just to put that in 3 lines shows how humble the son of the soil truly is. But I'll still read the 3 lines. Shri Mukesh Babooram ji is a radio presenter for just under 20 years and a Pichikari singer for over 20 years. He is a social commentator and a father of 1. The end. Now, his skill at taking words and creating something special out of it is truly remarkable. He is quite a powerful and thought-provoking social commentator. And tonight we look forward to see his interpretations and perspectives that he will find within the Manas and its relevance to Pitri Paksh and the ancestral agenda. Now, the Manas is not only meant to be a text for academic study and understanding of rituals, but it is also a tool for social reform. It is meant to guide how we live, how we function in society, how we build ourselves and how we build each other, and how we build our nation. So this is why we must also look to our Shastras in a social and cultural light. So I invite Ravi ji and Mukesh Babooram ji to make their offerings. I also take this opportunity to remind you that we'll be doing a short Q&A after, so you might have your questions ready for Mukesh ji after his presentation is complete. So now I present to you Shri Mukesh Babooram ji.
Sitaram, I expected better. I just want you to be happy you are here. I want you to feel relaxed. You are a people who come from a great civilization, unbroken civilization of 5,000 years. No one has done that. You have done that. Be proud of yourselves. Feel proud of yourselves. You are the folks who have given to the world the Ramayan, the Gita, the Mahabharata, the Upanishads, etc., etc. Feel proud of yourselves. You are here. You are the folks who gave to the world warriors like Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Shivaji Maharaj, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose. Feel proud of yourselves. You are the folks who gave to the world poets like Valmiki, like Sant Tulsidas, like Kabir Das, like Rabindranath Tagore. Feel good. Feel relaxed. Feel relaxed, yes. And after 1,000 years, 600 years plus of Muslim rule, over 200 years of British rule, you now have a Hindu prime minister in India for the first time. Feel proud of yourselves. You have had prime ministers with Hindu names. You have had, truly now, after 1,000 years, you have now gotten a Hindu ruler. You have now gotten Hindutva in India. Let me say, I accepted the invitation to be here tonight, not because I like to be in front of a microphone. It is the first time on a stage like this. I have noticed over the years, anytime a Hindu is called to the fore, he prefers to step back. Whether in work, you have a function, they call a Hindu to say something, quickly he finds a reason not to do it. And it's a long time I decided I will be different. So whenever an opportunity came, I stepped forward. Regardless, I know what I am saying or not. I did step forward. Whenever there is a function at home, and it is over, I will take the microphone. If it's 2 minutes, I say something, or 5 minutes. I say something, I do say something. Because Hindus tend to step back. I was listening to an interview, with a Christian gentleman who was invited, the only person, to the stone lane, the foundation stone for the Ayodhya temple. Can't recall his name. He said there were about 15 swamis there. And one mentioned, let us say, a mantra or some mantras, and they keep passing the buck. Until one finally said, all right, he will say something. He said it was a Christian event. Every one of them would have said something. Everyone. And that's the laying the foundation stone of the Ayodhya temple. So here I am, I got the invitation, and before Ravji could read out the invitation fully, I said yes. And he was still trying to explain to me why I should come, and I'd already said yes. I stepped forward. Yes. So, again, the Ramayan, the Pitris, and Vishalaji said this is a Ramayan country. I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe, because long ago, when you go to any Hindu home, you will hear Sitaram. Long ago, from the time you meet another Hindu, was Ramayan. Was Ramayan. You told each other, Sitaram. So you started Ramayan now. Today, it is no longer so. Today I'm hearing Sairam, I'm hearing Namaste, I'm hearing Namaskar, I'm hearing Haribol, I'm hearing Hariom, I hear Jai Guru Datta, Radhe, Radhe, etc., etc. I asked, a Hindu person, a business person from America, from a business association in America, interviewing that person on radio one day. And I mentioned the same thing, all his greetings. And he said, this shows how open Hindus are. It shows how open Hindus are that we have so many greetings. And as soon as he went to a commercial break, he said, boy, this thing killing me. Everybody doing their own thing. So publicly, it shows you what is said publicly. Sometimes it's not what people feel privately. Their public posturing is not really what they feel inside of them in their hearts. But let me start. Let me say Sitaram again. I greet you in the name of Sita and Ram. If this is Ramayan country, let me greet you in the name of Sita and Ram. Now, I am a layperson. I am mainly self-taught. I have stopped going to temple maybe about 3 decades now. I come only to the Kendra when invited to a special occasion, and so I am really self-taught. I introduced myself as, well, I did this a few times on radio when I did a little Ramayan now and again, as the Chamar Pandit, Mukesh Babooram Maharaj. Now, that would raise a few eyebrows. Why would a Chamar Pandit call himself Maharaj? Let me go to the Times of India. And it says here, the RSS, which is the largest Hindu organization, not only Hindu, the largest organization in the world. The RSS had a mega function. Well, they invited and honored a Dalit leader, Nirmal Das Maharaj, as a chief guest. Dalit is Chamar and under. It raised no eyebrows in India. It means it is normal practice. Normal practice. So, number 2 question might be asked. Am I allowed to be up here? Even sit on a singhasan? Should a Chamar be a Pandit? Newsday of India, 21st August 2020. A VHP official, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, he said they trained 5,000 Dalits as priests. Another large Hindu organization in India has trained 5,000 Dalits, Chamar and under, to be priests, to be pandits in their mandir. And some, of course, who believe of high caste, may want to know whether somebody of a lower caste should talk to them and advise them and preach to them, etc. Let me go to the Manusmriti, chapter 2, verse 238. It says here, he who possesses faith may receive pure learning even from a man of lower caste. The highest law even from the lowest. And you can even get an excellent wife even from a base family. The Manusmriti, chapter 2, verse 238. Now, it also says here, now that is, on the internet you'll get the whole Manusmriti. So on the internet, that's what the internet says. I also bought the book with me, the book. So if anybody wants to challenge what I say. And the book says almost the same thing, the same word. It says, respectful, let him acquire an auspicious knowledge, even from a Sudra. The highest virtue, even from a man of vile virtue. And vile caste. And a good wife, even from a bad family. Manusmriti, chapter 2, verse 238. I intend to speak about caste, as related to the Jahajis. A bit later on when I do this Siri Katha. Some say Shabri, Katha. Brings me to the Manusmriti, chapter 10, verse 65. It says, thus, a Sudra can become a Brahmin. And in the same manner, a Brahmin can become a Sudra. I will come to that when that time arises. So, again, the Ramayan, there are over 300 different versions of the Ramayan. And these versions have traveled to so many countries. Countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, China, Taiwan, a number of countries. These have gone too. And incidentally, there were also Hindu rulers in a number of countries. Hindu rulers in Vietnam. Let me see here. The Hindu rulers in Vietnam, they will call each other prestige names: Raja di Raja, King of Kings; Maharaja di Raja, Great King of Kings. And they call themselves all different names in Vietnam. And there's still temples in Vietnam, in Cambodia, and these countries. And the point I am making is that I wonder if these kings took the Ramayan with them when they left India and traveled to these countries. Because if they did, I mean, the Hindu kings in the past, we had to ask ourselves, were they wanderers? Were they adventurers? Or were they conquerors who spread the Ramayan wherever they went? And when you're speaking of Pitris, you are not just speaking about souls out there. You are speaking about ancestry, and you are speaking of history. I see Pitris as history. They are our history. They are history. So, did we have Hindu kings as conquerors if they went to all these other countries? Historians in India are now, under the BJP, rewriting some history. And the role of Hindu conquerors are coming up. The roles of Hindu conquerors. So India was not only conquered. In part, they also sent conquerors elsewhere. Did they take the Ramayan with them? Was that the first golden era of Hinduism, when the Ramayan left India and traveled east, and traveled south, and traveled north of India? And was there another golden era when indentured laborers, the Jahajis or Pitris, left India and traveled west and brought the Ramayan with them? Whereas the Hindu kings took the Ramayan to the east, the indentured laborers or Pitris took it to the west, to Africa, to South America, here to the West Indies. So much so that today we call Trinidad Ramayan country. Right? That was a period of Hindu advance. But there was also a period of Hindu retreat. The Mughal or Muslim rule over India that lasted over 600 years. It is estimated conservatively that over 60 million Hindus were killed. 60 million, the largest Holocaust in history. We are speaking of our history, our Pitris. Our Pitris didn't start when our parents died and thing. It went further down the road, much further. It is, yes, 60 million were slaughtered, heads chopped off, rivers of blood. Hindus were sometimes given a choice with a sword placed at their neck. Either you convert or die. Those who were lucky to remain alive had to pay a jizya, or a tax, for living in their own land. This is their own land that they never paid a tax like this before. And when they were conquered, the foreigners made the residents pay a tax for living there. And then came British rule and Christianization. You had rebellion, you had mutiny, famine. Millions died through famine, etc. And then you had indentureship, almost akin to slavery. So why am I saying all this? Why am I saying all this? Because I have heard many pundits, scholars, swamis, and some newly minted gods saying that all religions are the same. To say that all religions are the same, I think that is an insult to our Pitris, who had a sword placed at their neck. They could have converted if all religions are the same. They could have converted and made it easy for themselves. But they stood with Dharma, many of them, and had their heads chopped off. So when you say that all religions are the same, imagine a man with a sword at his neck. Give him a choice. You convert or die. And he chose, many died, many, of course, who were alive were made to pay the tax. So, to me, for someone to say all religions are the same, I think it is an insult to those people who prefer to stay Hindu, who prefer to get the torture, face the torture, and all the sufferings to remain who they were. And that is why we are here. If they had converted, you would not be here in a mandir. If they had taken the choice to be converted, you would not be here in a mandir. So, to me, I feel this is an insult for anyone, given as a respect to our Pitris, to say all religions are the same. I want now to break the little monotony and let us, as we sing, say the Ramayan, and, in the spirit of Pitri Paksh, Raghupati Raghava Rajadam. I will tell you why we sing it in a short while. Now, first time I'm here, and I seek your indulgence and your assistance. I am not much of a singer, if any at all. So just the chorus, and I'll tell you why. Raghupati Raghava Rajaram Patita Pavan Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Rajaram Patita Pavan Sitaram 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 Bhajam Pyare Sitaram. So we can hold it here. Because in the year 1930, Mahatma Gandhi added in a few lines. In the year 1930, he said, Ishwar Allah, Terunam, Sabko Sanmat Hi Bhagavan. It has become popular with the Hindu community. Not one Muslim will sing it. Not one Muslim will, worth his salt will sing that song, though it mentions in him Allah. In 1930, Gandhi wanted, it was a salt march. He wanted additional people. And for a political purpose, he took a religious song for a political purpose and added in Ishwar Allah Tirunam, which was he made it a political slogan to attract people. He didn't have to appease any Muslims. Many Muslims were already in the freedom struggle. In fact, by 1930, they were already thinking of Pakistan. They didn't have to, you didn't have to include anything in the bhajan. Now, what happens when you sing that bhajan? And why a Muslim will not sing the bhajan? When you sing Ishwar Allah Tirunam and first Raghupati Raghava Rajadam, you are committing shirk, according to Muslim, associating other gods with Allah. So it is offensive to Muslims. So a Muslim will not commit an offense. It is offensive to Muslims. So you will never hear to have a qasida singing or any singing, religious event, a Muslim, and quite rightly, and I applaud them. I applaud the Muslims. They would not sing that song. It is an insult to them. It is an offense to them. It is offensive. The punishment for shirk is hell and hellfire. And if Islam is true, then you are going in hell. If Islam is true, then you Hindus are going to hell, to burn in the hellfire. Because you are committing shirk. You are associating other gods with Allah. And when you are in hell, burning hellfire, you can thank Mahatma Gandhi. Offer a song of praise to him. You cannot associate any other god with Allah. You are committing shirk. So that is the reason I sang that song. To tell you. You know many of our Pitris who have been singing that song? You know many of them would have been singing that song. So let me go to some other things now. I am jumping because I know time and I don't want to elaborate. I'm giving you time to ask questions afterwards, which I like to be challenged. I don't like people to really praise me, Babooram, and say I got something, challenge me in what I am saying. Let me go now to the Ramayan and the birth of Lord Rama. I'm moving quickly. Now, Raja Dashrath did not have an heir for his throne. He didn't have a boy child. He had a girl named Shanta. But he didn't have a boy. So, quickly, they had the yagna out of the fire. You got the kir shared among his wives. And 3 wives, 4 boys, and Dashrath became a father. The point I am making here is that Raja Dashrath could not father a child for his heir. And Lord Rama came. The reason is that God cannot have a father. A man cannot father a god. So Dashrath was not the father biologically of Lord Rama. Same thing with Lord Krishna. Vasudeva was not the biological father of Krishna. So with Ganesh, Parvati took the mila from her skin and breathed life into it. Lord Shiva was not his father, his biological father. A man cannot be the father of God. In another religion, you will hear of Immaculate Conception. A man, today, God's having father and everything. But in the years of our Pitris and long ago, no God will have a father. Even the goddesses. Mother Sita didn't have a parents. She was found on the earth. She was found. Janak was not a biological father. She was found there. So while the God did not have a father, the goddesses didn't have father and mother. Except Parvati, which I dispute because same way you say Dashrath is father of Rama, same you could say Parvati had father and mother. Right? So the gods of yesteryear did not have father, and the goddesses didn't have mother, father and mother, parents. Today, the gods that are coming are really interreligious gods, not Hindu gods, but interreligious gods, and who have both parents, and Poo and Papa and family and thing. So, since I mentioned that, why I say interreligious gods? When my son Nirav was conceived, I went to a pundit's house. Went home to a pundit. Respectable gentleman. Let me say, I totally respect him. Totally respect him. To find out our sanskar and etc., etc. We do well. So when I went to him, he said, you know she's here? I said, who's she? He said, Itna. I said, what it? He said, God. I said, God seen by you? He said, yes. She come from India and she upstairs. I said, all right. He said, you will meet her. I said, no problem. So she came down, and he was telling me, when people come, God, Hindu God, but tell them, the Hindu with the problem, in your last life, you were a Christian. Go home and read your Bible. Open the book, so-and-so page, and you go and read the Bible. Or you come. In your last life, you are Muslim. Go and get your Quran and the interreligious God. We have an interreligious God. You know, different from long ago. So, when she came down, he called me, out of everybody, to sit down. And God asked me what I want. And I told God I want nothing. And God was shocked that I want nothing. Because I didn't come to meet God, I come to meet Baba. So I'm just giving you an example. And in case the Baba hear this one, which I thought I would have told him I was going to say this, I totally respect the Baba. Maybe she's God, whatever. I'm just saying. Yes. So I was speaking about Lord Rama. I was speaking about Lord Krishna and, the others. Hanuman himself, Anjani, his mother Anjani, some of the remnants of the key, she got it. As the story goes. And he himself, Lord Hanuman, didn't have a father. So let me finish with that one and move on, because I want to move on quickly before we have a timekeeper here. I don't know. All right. I want to come with the Shabrikata, Sirikata. And yes. And that will bring us to the caste system. Let me say, not only Hindus practice caste, not only Hindus. Let me go to the Times of India, May 21st, 2016. Muslims in this village divide road on caste lines. Caste runs deep in Indian society, and religion is noble. In Bihar's Muzaffarpur, a Muslim mohalla has a road that has been split in two. People living in the area have divided the road that divides them by building a wall. So one little road, they build a wall in the middle of the road. Half of the road now belongs to the sheikhs, considered upper caste. And the other half to the Ansaris, considered lower caste. Among the lower caste or among Muslims. The problem is the narrow road has a wall in the middle and is useless now for cars and other four-wheelers. Caste. Recently, on November 18, a wedding in an Ansari household led to a fight between the two communities within the community. Two communities in one community. The sheikhs did not like the sheikh level pump and show on the Ansari side. So the Ansari did not like them in sheikh, and the sheikh did not like it. So they had a fight. The quarrel turned into a free-for-all fight. Bacchanal. All right. So let's go. So Siri, Shabri. After waiting on Lord Rama, she went to a pond, a pool, to fetch some water. A rishi took a stone. He didn't like how she was there. He felt she will contaminate the water. She's a very low caste. She's a Sudra. Funny how it is the high caste who do these acts. Funny. It is the religious people. The high caste who perform these acts. So We are customers from here in Siri. So Mrs. Siri went to the pond to get water, and a rishi didn't like it, so he took a stone and hit her in her leg, and he began to bleed. That was 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago. What about today? August 13th, 2015, I believe. I didn't take down the date on this one properly. Thousands of Dalits, led by outgoing BJP Rajya Sabha, Times of India, MP Tarun Vijay, and local activist Daulat Kunwar, defied a centuries-old tradition on Friday and stormed the temple where the entry was earlier prohibited. So these lower caste people couldn't enter Mandir. They couldn't go. They put a ban on them. In fact, in India during some times, the lower caste had to sit down outside the Mandir in the hot sun. And you know when they convert, they vex, eh? When you convert as a lower caste, it's a problem. However, soon after the community asserted their right to equal worship, violence broke out as upper caste members started pelting stones. Remember, a rishi pelt Siri with a stone. That was 5,000 years ago. And if you think that was then, I'm telling you now. Started pelting stones, right. Tarun Vijay sustained deep injuries on his head. The religious people, the high caste, the religious people, pelting those who want to worship with stones. And deep injuries on his head and ear, and was rushed to a nearby military hospital for treatment. The mob even attacked the MP's car and pushed it down a nearby gorge. They also targeted 2 police jeeps standing nearby. They vexed. Why these low-caste people going in the mandir for? When G time they come, are you frightened? Are you afraid? I say, I have people outside waiting to pelt me. And my head is the bus. Very easy. Siri, she went to fetch water. 9-year-old Dalit boy killed for allegedly topping upper caste water pot. Siri went to fetch water. This boy just touched the water pot and they killed him. 9 years old. The spiritual people, the high caste, they're high because they're spiritual. They're born that way. That was 5,000 years ago. That is today. I'm speaking about also. So let me speak about caste a little bit. And who are Brahmins? And who are not Brahmins? And who feel they are Brahmins? So let me go to it. I brought the book with me, the Manu Smriti, just in case anybody wants to challenge me. I have it there. So let's go and read from a few quickly. I know time is going. Let me see if I can get it quickly here. Yeah. First, it says here, if a Brahmin does not do his savitri, his prayer, let me go to it. Let him stand in the morning, during the morning twilight, muttering the savitri until the sun appears. This is what a Brahmin must do. He must stand in the morning twilight. Verse 2, chapter 2, verse 101. Let him stand during the morning twilight, muttering the Savitri until the sun appears. But let it recite it seated in the evening until the constellations can be seen distinctly. But he who does not stand in the morning, not sit in the evening, shall be excluded like a Sudra. So if you are Brahmin, or you think you are Brahmin, and you do not stand in the morning until the sun rises and do your prayer, or sit in the evening until the constellations come out, you must be treated like a Sudra. Chapter 2, verse 101 and 103. A Brahman who does not know the form of returning a salutation must not be saluted by a lone man. For as a Sudra, so is he. If you are Brahmin and you do not know how to return a compliment or a greetings, you come like a Sudra. Chapter 2, that is 126. Again, it's a whole list I have. Just bear with me one moment. Yeah. All right. The Manusmriti mainly is a Brahmin must know the Vedas. Must know the Vedas. And I am looking for one here particularly that I have, because I heard you on Sunday said, what you must give the pundits. What you must give the pundits. And I'm just giving you what the book says, what the Baba must get, or somehow or other. Right. It says, a gift to a Brahmin. He said the Veda is worth more than money, land, jewelry. I'm not finding it here by time. If you give the Brahmin a Veda instead of land, is worth more. If you give him a copy of the Veda instead of a jewelry and all the other things, nice things, it is worth more than that. So, what it also says, let him also always worship his food and eat it with contempt, eat it without contempt. So you must worship your food and eat it without contempt when he sees it. Chapter 2, verse 54, and pray that he must always obtain it, food that is always worshipped. Let him not give to any man what he leaves, and beware of eating between the 2 meal times. A Brahmin is supposed to eat 2 meals a day. 2 meals. And beware of eating between the 2 meal times. 2 times a day. Do not eat between the 2 meals. Beware of eating between the 2 meals time. Let him not overeat himself. Must not overeat himself. And quickly one more before I close up here. Let me see. Chapter 5. Okay, my pages. It is in chapter 5. I can't remember the verse. It says, if a Brahmin eats things like onion and garlic, becomes an outcast. If your meal consists of things like onion and garlic, you become an outcast. If you sell meat and salt, you become an outcast in 3 days. And if you sell if you sell salt and meat, immediately you become an outcast. And if you sell milk, in 3 days, you become a Sudra. I have it here, and I could find it, but it may take me a little while. My pages, as I was talking, mixed up. I have the book there. So, again, let me just close by saying, I introduce myself as Mukesh Babooram Maharaj. No one can choose a caste for me. None. I choose my own caste. None. And as just like Veer Savarkar, I believe in a caste-free Hindu society. No caste. I believe in a caste-free. Veer Savarkar, the man who's Hindutva, they use it in India. A caste-free Hindu society. So, I have said some things today. I am hopeful that you have some grilling to do. So I close by saying the names of Ram and Sita. Sitaram. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Syavara Ramachandra ki,
Jai.
Goswami Tulsidas Maharaj ki. Okay, so we thank Mukesh Babooram ji for his thought-provoking presentation, and we thank you for stepping forward as a Hindu voice, and I'm sure we all have a lot of questions. But I first would hand over to Ravi ji to say a few words, and after. Okay, all right. So we'll start with any questions from the audience. Okay.
Sitaram.
Sitaram, yes.
I'm not going to ask a question on caste, but I'm going to ask on something that you brought up, the idea of diversity in Hinduism. And you were mentioning Mahatma Gandhi and his bhajan, Ishwara Allah, Tirunam. Well, I'll just go a step further. Seeing that we are dealing with the Ramcharitmanas, there is one verse that does it better than that, and that is Siya Ramamai Sabha Jagajani. And the idea of God is everywhere, right? Now, the issue I think you were trying to raise is the idea of, I don't know if this is what you were trying to do, but in my mind, an issue is how does Hinduism deal with diversity? And you seem to have an issue as you spoke about the various greetings, okay? Now, if you look at Islam, they're in our present, the question is, how do you deal with diversity? Because diversity seems to be a natural part of the human condition. How do you deal with it and retain Hinduism?
Well, it's interesting that, we have so many Hindu thinkers who says, all roads lead to God, and, this all-encompassing thing is one God. And I ask myself, if it's the same God we are worshiping, because there's diversity, and everybody worshiping the same God, why is it only to a Hindu audience they preach that to? Why don't they go into a mosque and say, look, it's one God, let me preach that in your mosque? Why don't go into a church and say it's one God? Why is it only to a Hindu audience? These thinkers want to spread this one message too. If it's one God, the same God, spread it to the world. Spread that diversity to the world. Because it's diverse people. You see, what I look at clarity, I want clarity. When you say all the roads lead to the same destination, things like that. People want, if you take it literally, if somebody wants a direction to the Kendra, and they call him from Cedros, tell he or she, take any road. All the road carrying you by the Kendra. The people will say, send me a location. They can get here straight because they want clarity. They want direction. GPS, they may use that. Islam does not preach that. Christianity does not preach that. Hinduism, there's enough diversity within Hinduism. For instance, I want to make the answer quickly. I think I've stretched already, but shall I continue with the answer? I think you should. Next question, yes. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so one question there.
So you did say to challenge you on anything you said. So very early on, you said how the Pitris and the Jahajis are our history. And I agree, they are. And it's very important we recognize our history. But I want to challenge you and say that the Jahajis and the Pitris are our history, but they are also our present day, and they are also our future. So what do you think about that?
You are correct. You standing there have the genes of your parents, of that lineage that comes from Jahaji, from India, from thousands of years. That gene continues with you and will continue to the future. So you are correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else want to make any comments on anything they... All right. Okay, so we still have about 15 minutes. You want to say anything? It's 8:50. Okay, all right. All right, so I guess we will close off here. If any other questions, you all could always speak to Mukesh ji after. So now that we come to the close of tonight's program, I again want to thank Mukesh Babooram ji for coming and sharing with us. It was some very powerful social commentary. I think we can all agree on that, and it gave us a lot to think about. And again, I want to thank Ravi ji for creating this space for us to have these conversations and these discussions in a time like Pitri Paksh, which was earlier only left for rituals. But now we can do a little more. So I am very thankful for that. Before I invite the Mandali to sing... Sorry? Yeah. Oh, that's what I didn't want to speak. Right. Okay. So before I invite the Mandali to sing Bhare Bhagya, I invite Raviji to say a couple words. So if we could just pass the mic there. Yes.
Jai Shri Ram. I don't think there was ever a session like this in any mandir in Trinidad and Tobago. Definitely not. And therefore, it will beg the question, how many of you think that we should not have a person like Mukesh in this position, speaking in the mandir? All right. Why you think? Huh? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So, from this session, what I took, because it was my decision to invite Mukesh. Mukesh qualifies to be in the mandir and he raised this issue. But some people seem to be only qualified to come into mandir and listen. And that's a big mistake we are making, I submit. Because today I could see what are the questions, what are the issues that are troubling Mukesh. And if we do not understand what is troubling the people whom we are speaking with, training, developing, we wouldn't know what to teach. And obviously, we have not dealt with these issues enough to a person like Mukesh, who is in the community working and talking all the time, to find some response to what his questions are. Like, for example, he talks about caste. This is uppermost in his mind. In India, where he talks about so much caste, I think I lived there for 10 years working in the community. That caste in India is not such a big problem again except in political issues. Even mandirs that he was talking about, I know Tarun Vijay, who was the editor of Panchadanya and organizer, I know him. I didn't know he was hurt, honestly. So these things are happening as part of the issues going on. But what has been discovered lately about caste system, first to begin, Hindu don't discuss about caste system. There is no caste system. The word itself is not a Sanskrit word or Hindi word. And all it is about the Portuguese, when they came, that word got transferred to people to divide them. And the British tabulated people according to ways they could make divisions of the people and divide the people. And now those things are coming out in the records and documents about it. So caste system, as we understand it, was not there all the time. It was introduced and reinterpreted and indoctrinated by Indians. As a matter of fact, one of the main things is coming out that Brahmins were treated by the British as special people. And there is where the big problem come amongst caste and the Brahmin people. Before, it wasn't like that. So there are a lot of issues that we have to speak about, and the point is, I think he made an important issue. And this is such a main issue. This is why Varshapatipada was formed. That any society has to have systems. For almost 2,000 years, our systems have collapsed, have been broken because of the amount of invaders coming after the riches in India. And now to recreate that system, it is one of the most difficult things because you cannot stitch intangibles. Who is going to take the authority to say, this is how it must be? Vishwa Hindu Parishad has done it. They say something, other groups say it's not like that. So these are the issues that are going on. In Trinidad, we have not been able to set up this because of fears like Mukesh coming and talking about himself. To me, it is one of the most important period in our whole history in Trinidad and Tobago that we got to hear what are the issues that are facing the community that they're upset about. No wonder why it is so easy to convert. If Hindus are so uncomfortable with what they see as Hinduism, it's easy to be converted. And how to deal with that is to know it. I want to compliment the president of the Kendra to have the guts to allow this to happen in Kendra and to make the point that every Hindu must find it a place where they can express themselves. Of course, if a yajna is going on, you can't come and do that. But then create things. And that is what Vishala is talking about. Creating a space for this. So I think this is a very important period in Trinidad and Tobago that these things have happened. And it's happened under the name of Pitri Paksh. What is the Paksha of the people, of the Pitris? Because Paksh means fortnight. But Paksh does not only mean fortnight. Paksh also means opinion, what you stand for. What is your worldview? What is your objective? So for example, if Prof and I have a quarrel, and Ciro take his side, I will say Ciro has taken Vijay, she's Pakshapati. to Prof. So when you take a side, then you take the Paksh of that side. Obviously, here we have a Hindu that is divided in about his own Hindu Paksha. And that has come out today. What do you think? That has come out today. And it's come out under the banner of Pitri Paksh. And this is why we have presented a range of things under the Pitri Paksh. That we are not trying to remove the rituals. We want to make sure that rituals thrive. But we want to know that we can do more than that, than have it only as rituals. As these occasions, on the occasion of Pitri Paksh, if every child of those Pitris cannot have a Paksh, an opinion, and say their opinion, for me, and I think for the Kendra, Pitri Paksh has not seen its full day. So I want to thank you for your presence and call Vishalaji. Yeah.
Thank you, Ravi ji, and thank you again, Mukesh Babooram ji. So that brings us now to the end of tonight's program. I invite the Mandali to come to the stage so that we can have the singing of the mantra of the year 2002, Bare Bhagya Manusha Tanupava. And while they make their way to the stage, I take this opportunity to invite you for the remaining 3 events of the Ancestral agenda. On Sunday, the 18th, which is 2 days away, we will have our Samuhik Community Tarapan. And this year makes it 25 years that the Hindu Prachaar Kendra has been observing this form of community tarapan. So anyone who would like to participate, please give your names to Geeta ji no later than tomorrow morning, please, so that you could participate in this community offering. On Friday, the 23rd of September, which is next week Friday, the Yuva Vahini, which is the youth group of the Kendra, in coordination with Techno Dharma, which is the tech platform of the Kendra, comes together to bring you a drama entitled The Caribbean Panchayat, Who Could Do the Work, where we look at modern problems facing youths in society, with a special emphasis on Pitri Paksh and different things that surround Pitri Paksh. So you definitely don't want to miss that on Friday. And then our final event, our feature event for the Ancestral agenda is All Ancestors Day, or Neighboring the Ancestors, which will be held on the following Sunday, Sunday the 25th at 2 p.m., where we join with the Orisha and the First People traditions to come together and honor ancestors in their tradition and ours. So we definitely will be giving you more information on these events, and we look forward to seeing you. So now we close tonight's program with the singing of the mantra of the year 2002.
You can follow in the booklets.
Bare bhag manush tanu pava sadhar dham moksha kar dwara Remember Sri Rama said to Ayodhya, Bare bhag manusha tanu pava, Bare bhag manusha tanu pava, sadhan dham moksha kar dwara. You have a vardhan, born as a human, a mandir for liberation. Bare bhag manusha tanu pava, sadhan dham moksha kar dwara. So let your be a light, light all day and night. Bare bhag manusha tanu pava, You are divinity, disguised a deity, playing the fool on earth. Beyond the sensual, beyond the mental, lies your real potential. Shed animality, express humanity, then reclaim your divinity. Look within, like Hanumanji, see your true identity. Bade bhag manusha tanu pava, sadhana dham moksha kar dwara. So let your diya light all day and night. Bade bhag manusha tanu pava, bade bhag manusha tanu pava. Said Duryodhan, Janami Dharma, but I cannot answer the call. Hey Sri Krishna, Janami Adharma, no resistance at all. Be not Duryodhan, trapped in illusion. Remember, you are the Atman. Tasmatu Tishta, O Kaunteya, cast off your lower nature. Bari bhag manusha tanu pava, sadhana dhama moksha kar dwara. You have a vardhan, born as a human, a mandir for liberation. Bari bhag manusha tanu pava, sadhana dhama moksha kar dwara. So let your diya light all day and night. Bade bhag manusha tanu pava, bade bhag manusha tanu pava, bade bhag manusha tanu pava, bade bhag manusha tanu pava.
Syapati Ramachandra ki
Jai.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Before we do closing mantras, I just invite the Secretary of the Ancestral Agenda, Srimati Sita Madanji, to just deliver a couple words, and then we'll have closing mantras.
Sitaram, everyone. Sitaram, Mukesh Babooram Maharaj ji. I think I feel a bit overwhelmed, so my chest is pounding. I think it's the first time I'm going to be saying something on this stage in public. Well, everybody's hearing. Everybody heard me, right? So, that last question, well, I think it was the first question you asked about whether we thought that the mandir, the stage, is the place for ordinary people, unqualified, like Sri Babaji, to come here and speak. And I think some of us since last night, I think, are missing the point that he was invited here to give his personal perspective on something. This is his personal commentary. And he laid out a disclaimer that he is not qualified to speak on the Shastras and so. He was sharing his message as he received it from his own personal readings. So if we find that he said something that we might know is not true knowledge, we are free to, the floor is open, to bring it out to him. But what I really want to say is, if, as Ji said, if we do not allow Shudras and castes, Varnas, Vaishyas, and the other castes that are not Brahmins, to be able to speak, to give them a voice. We will not know what people are thinking. There will be a whole, more than probably the majority of Hindus would be left without having a voice. And I think the Ancestral Agenda is a platform that we are using for our own progress, so that we may all come together and contribute and discuss and talk. And I think this is supposed to be an open discussion, so I do not want for anyone to think that Shri Mukesh Babooram ji was here to teach us anything from the Shastras. He was here to give his personal commentary. And this, I think, the Ancestral Agenda is all about discussing and for us moving forward. So I just did not want, as a secretary of this, Shri asked me to be the secretary, I do not want for us to lose sight of the purpose of this whole program. And that is all I wanted to say, that if people like Mukesh ji and myself, I am not a Brahmin, and if I am reading and I am studying at home and I cannot come and feel comfortable in the mandir to say what I have to say, I can be corrected, and I think he is open to being corrected, and he is open to receiving new knowledge. He never said he was not open to receiving new knowledge. If we are not allowed to come here and speak for our own upliftment, I don't know what is going to become of us. So that is all I wanted to say, that it is an open forum and it is for all of us to have a voice. And I think it's the first time, as Riviji said, that non-pundits, non-Brahmins, intellectuals are having an opportunity to come and speak like this. So I thank you for coming, and you really opened my mind a lot tonight. Sitaram.
I think if Mukesh was more spine, he should do that on radio. Right? That's some of the things that do on radio.
I asked a question, you didn't give her
So what, you have nothing right possible?
Huh?
Is it forum? Is that forum?
No, there's a microphone.
No, but there's a forum, you know, talk about it.
There's a regulation. That's why she could have asked and come and speak.
Okay.
When I asked you the question, you didn't have to answer.
I still thought that I am okay. Do it on radio.
Let me clarify. I've already done this on radio. I've already done this on radio. Yes.
Okay, so thank you. So we now come to the end of tonight's program. I thank you all for coming out, and for those of you who joined on virtual media. We have meals prepared for those of you who are here, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. So let us join in closing mantras. Can everyone stand, please, for closing mantras? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Syavar Ramachandra ki, Goswami Tulsidas Baba ki, Trinidad और Tobago देश की, जहाजी पितृ की, सर्व पितृ की, जय श्री राम.